Hello and welcome to Sci-Fi Christian. I'm Ben DeBono.
I'm Emily Kirkwald.
And I'm Ben Kirkwald.
And we want to know if you're as disturbed as we are after the final scene of Unbowed.
If you're not,
Unbent.
you should go turn yourself in right now.
Unbroken, yeah. Yeah, in a show famous for its disturbing scenes. I've been thinking since the end of the episode, I can't think of one that, for lack of a better term, tops that one.
No. No.
Yeah.
I mean, Cersei and Jaime doing it when over dead Joffrey was pretty...
That was messed up.
No, but the difference is that in the book for that one, that was an intense love scene, and they portrayed it differently in the show.
Yeah, that one felt like a breakdown in the creators of the show or the director or somebody didn't quite realize what they'd done, which I don't know how that happened, but that was more just a bizarre, huge misstep on the part of the production of the show.
Right.
But this was just like wrong.
This was just
horrible. Something very horrible.
Yeah, so we'll get to all of that in a minute, but first we have a couple of beers to talk about.
Yeah!
From very different sides of the spectrum.
That's right. That's right.
These are the two sides of the spectrum.
You're drinking...
So, I'm drinking Bitburger Drive 0.0% alcohol.
You gotta pour me just a little bit in there.
Okay.
Just I don't want much.
You're not gonna drink much.
That's probably enough. I gotta try Bitburger Zero.
I haven't been drinking non-alcoholic beer because even though it says non-alcoholic, it's usually like 0.5% and, just in case. But went to this neighborhood liquor store and the lady there was like, hey, try this, 0.0, so I don't feel as left out. And
I might still feel left out.
Yeah,
if I was drinking that instead of what we're about to drink, I would still feel left out.
Right.
But
luckily, I am okay drinking light beer, and
well, thank goodness for that.
It's light beer, but
yeah,
it's still. I mean, it still is missing something.
Yes, it is.
You don't get that buzz, but it's worth it.
It's missing more than the buzz. It's missing way more than the buzz.
Yeah.
And then you picked up from Evil Twin Brewery.
And then I picked up even more Jesus.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if there was an even more, and now there's an even more Jesus.
Or maybe there was a Jesus.
Or if there was a Jesus.
More Jesus, and then even, I don't know. But I've heard so much about this beer. I've never had it, so when you brought it in, I was very excited. Do you want to do the honors and open it up for us?
Absolutely.
So this is, what, 12% ABV?
Yeah.
Nice imperial stout.
These are the stout glasses?
They are the stout glasses. Right down the middle. Right down the middle.
Okay, alright.
See? Oh, that's beautiful.
Wow, that is... Look at that head.
Yeah. See? Oh, that smells delicious. Now, they do have, from what I was reading on Rate Beer, they do have a bourbon barrel version of this, but it's actually not as highly rated as just the regular, which is very unusual. Usually you get into the barrel aged stuff and it's fantastic. But
Smells chocolatey.
Thoughts?
that is really good. It's very rich.
It's like a milkshake. Like
with a lot of alcohol.
Well, I mean, yeah, but
yeah, very, very
I
sweet.
mean, yeah. A little oaky, which is good in a stout. But not overly bitter either.
Yeah, a little bit of coffee, a little bit of chocolate in there.
Yeah.
That's good.
What helps to have that brownie bite that I had right before we started.
There you go. Oh,
That
man.
is-
You know what is really good? You get like a milk stout or a sweet stout or something and dunk Oreos in it.
Oh.
It's amazing.
Oh.
It's really amazing. Yeah, like Dragon's Milk I have in there. That's a good one for just dunk your Oreos in that and you'll be very happy, man. Or Left Hand's milk stout.
Yeah, this is like It's a lot richer than most
Yeah.
stouts. Wow.
Yeah. So this one I'm glad we're sharing the bottle, because taking on all 22 ounces, I would do it.
Right.
But,
And that would be the only thing that you did all day, but...
mm-hmm. And then you'd be flat on your back afterwards.
Well, you know.
Yeah. All right. So, wonderful beer, and we're going to have a much better time drinking it than people in Game of Thrones have doing just about anything.
Yeah, no kidding.
This was kind of an interesting episode structurally, because for about the first 20-25 minutes, we didn't see any storylines except for Arya and Tyrion.
And I was okay with that.
They were fantastic.
I love the way that... I don't know if they're going to do this in the next few episodes too, but last episode and this episode, it seems like they're starting to structure it the way that they are the books.
Mm-hmm.
Where somebody came to the conclusion, and hopefully it keeps pace with this, but you can only tell like 2 or 3 storylines per episode because there's so much to get through, and it just doesn't mean as much as if you see like 7 minutes versus like 20 minutes of the...
Right. I feel they've done that a little bit the last couple seasons, where it feels like the first episode or 2, it's like, okay, let's catch up with everyone, and then from there, it's like, okay, maybe you won't see this character next week, but you'll see a lot of him or her this week.
Right.
And you're right, that is a lot stronger way to tell a show like this. It's okay. I was okay with us not seeing Dany this week, because then when we do see her, presumably next week, you know, maybe we won't see Tyrion, but we'll see a lot more of her or something, you know.
Right.
Now, is this it's not the first week ever we've not seen Dany, right?
Oh, I don't think so.
No.
That's a good question. I'm not sure.
I don't know.
It's a rare case where we don't
it
see
popped
it.
into my head. Was this the first time we've ever not seen it?
That's a good question.
Somebody find that out.
Yeah,
Let us know in the
Go back
comments.
and marathon it. So Arya, lots of interesting stuff here. Of course, we have the bodies, which maybe we'll get to in a minute. We have her giving the gift of death to this child, which, believe it or not, is not the most disturbing moment in this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. But really, one of those moments where I think we get so often with Arya's character, where it's like, whoa, are you really going to cross that line? And she does, and every time she does. And it's just another line that she crosses. And I think the question all of us have, because book readers don't know, is how far is she going to go down those various roads?
And you know, what's interesting about Arya when she crosses the line versus somebody like Cersei or anybody else in the show that crosses the line is when everybody else crosses the line, they know they've crossed the line and they're like, there's some remorse about it, but they get over it because that's the deal with power.
Right.
But with Arya, it's, I crossed that line. Like, she doesn't even realize that she's done it, and she just kind of goes with it.
I think she does realize, but there's a total acceptance of it.
Yeah, and there's no remorseful,
Exactly.
there's nothing there to, she doesn't have to ever, like, I don't know, like, think about it with herself.
Yep.
You know, debate, like, no, that was the right thing to do, like, blah, blah, like, she's just, yeah.
Like, that's what happened, and it's...
Right, and then we're just moving on from there, yeah.
Yeah. We also get our first mention in the season of the Hound, which this was interesting because Jagan Hagar is whipping her every time she tells a lie. I hated the Hound. It's very obvious that it's what we've all known for a while. She doesn't really hate the Hound.
Right.
But this made me really wonder about the fate of the Hound, because, and this is where I'm going to make a division between the books and the show, and I'm not giving any spoilers for either here because we're at roughly the same place. When it comes to the book Hound, I don't know if he's dead or alive, but I'm betting that he is alive, actually. That would be, we don't have confirmation one way or the other in the books, but I'm very certain he's alive. Up until tonight, I've been convinced the show Hound is dead. Because I just didn't...
Yeah.
I don't know what Martin's going to do with the Hound in the books, if he is actually alive. And I've kind of thought, well, they're not going to go there, but then they bring him up again. Now I'm not so sure the show Hound is dead.
No, I disagree. I think that the show Hound is still dead, I think. I think that bringing him up tonight was more about the love or hate of the Hound and what he represents.
Right. But in both book and show, you never see him die.
And then the
There's
fact
lots
that
of
they
characters we don't see.
Yeah. Not main characters, though.
No.
Hey, what were you saying, Emily?
Oh, I was just saying, well, and then the fact that they brought him up just makes you wonder, what did really happen.
There are lots of old characters brought up tonight, though. I mean...
Yeah, but it's not like when they bring up Ned, as she does when she's talking to Jake and the guard.
Yeah.
Well, nobody's expecting Ned to come walking on through, holding his head in his hand, Dante style. But the Hound's completely different. Ned is dead. He's dead. The Hound, we never saw him die. And he is a main enough character, and there's enough ambiguity in the books on that point where it makes me go,
Same thing with Syrio.
That's true. The Syrio is a slightly different case because George R. R. Martin has expressed perplexity that people think that he's alive.
Oh, really? He's
Yeah.
just like...
It's like, what?
Clearly I killed him! Don't you understand?
Yeah. So
he'll be the hero of the whole series.
Yeah, Syrio Farrell comes into the epilogue of book 7.
Just kills everybody.
Remember me! Yeah. No, some people think Syrio Farrell is Jake and Hagar. That's one of the theories that's out there.
Oh.
And I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, exactly. That completely destroys your conceptions of what's going on. But anyway, I'm not saying the Hound is alive. I just went from I'm 90% sure he isn't to I'm 60% sure he isn't, but we took a big jump tonight in the probability that we might see him again.
Alright.
Then we get the room of faces, I guess.
Yeah, and I like the way they have it set it up. When I read the books and she goes into that room, I picture it like a wine cellar size, not a very large room, I guess. I didn't picture it, and I pictured it to be like a dungy, wooden, stinking room kind of a deal.
Yeah.
But the way they presented it tonight, I loved that. I thought visually it was fantastic.
Yeah, and so I think, and maybe this is spelled out more clearly in the books, and I'm not remembering, but we're supposed to assume that those are the faces they can take on.
Yes.
That's what it seemed like.
That
it was saying you can
From
become
somebody who hasn't read the
somebody
books,
else.
Exactly.
That's what I got.
So that's going to be interesting from a show perspective compared to a book perspective, because even though I don't think we've seen Arya change faces in the books, which she does, it's still
That's
Arya.
not true. She does change faces at the end.
Oh, okay. I would hate for us to lose Maisie Williams in the show because she's such a terrific actor, but obviously they're not playing down that part of the show either.
And they kind of skipped over a lot of her. Well, they might come back to it. But.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Jorah and Tyrion have an interesting conversation about fathers.
Did you do an episode last week?
No.
Okay. So Jorah has grayscale.
Yeah.
Which,
Whoops.
Still just getting over that. So they've just completely abandoned that one storyline then.
Yeah.
And I don't know, a week later I'm still getting over the fact that Dany is now going to lose both of her counselors at this point.
Right,
because grayscale is deadly except in children, and we see that with Stannis's kid.
Right.
And that's one of the only people that survives. Even kids most of the time don't survive, but the only people that do are kids, and so I don't know.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what they do with that, because of course what we're getting at is in the books, Jorah is not the one who gets grayscale there.
Right.
There's actually...
He may die in book 6, we don't know.
Right, yeah, page 1.
But yeah, page 1, Jorah dies.
Yes, that's just the chapter heading.
The death of Jorah is going to be the chapter heading.
Yeah.
But he is not near death in the books, at least. I don't know. So...
I really like the conversation they had too about, why Daenerys? Why does she deserve to be the queen? Why?
But that wasn't... 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 That let's be clear, that conversation was not Tyrion asking why Jorah was following her. That was Tyrion asking, why am I supposed to be following this woman?
Exactly.
I mean, it was clearly the point of... He was trying to make it seem like it wasn't, but that's clearly the reason that he did that was, well, why should I follow this person? Why did I get led across halfway around the world in order to figure out who this person is and learn about this person? And I think he got the answers he was looking for.
Yeah. It's also one of the moments this story does really well, more so in the books than the show, where, you know, we have all of our favorite characters that we're following. We're cheering for Dany, and then, you know, Martin does this really well where at times we'll hear, like, the common people give their opinions on something. Not very often, but we get it, and it really strikes you. And here it's like we pull back a little bit and say, whoa, wait a second. She's a world conqueror. And it's like, we're cheering for her as our favorite character, but, you know, you go into our history, it's like the Alexanders of the world were terrible people who killed a ton of innocents.
Right.
And she's essentially that in Westeros. So it's one of those wonderful moments that I think is part of one of the main philosophical themes of Martin's work. And it's good to see it come through the show, where it's like, you know, he calls it a Game of Thrones for a reason. This is a game to these people. And they are completely oblivious to the fate of all the innocents getting smeared in this game along the way. Mm. And what Martin does well, and the show did well in that scene, I felt like, was that the story lulls us into that same game as the audience, and then takes that step back every now and then and says, but look at what you're missing, look at what you're forgetting.
Right. That
you're cheering on somebody who, if she wins, you know, hundreds of thousands of innocent people are going to die.
Right.
Yeah. So I really liked it from there. And then finally they get captured by the slave ship.
Wait, we had a vague conversation at the beginning of the episode. Do you think that they were going to abandon that, or did you think they were going to...
No, I figured we'd get to the slave stuff.
Okay.
I think, you know, my wife was asking about, like, there's a character of the dwarf girl who's on the slave ship.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to see her or anything.
No, you might see her at the end, maybe, but...
Yeah.
No. I thought... and then another great case of Tyrion talking his way out of...
the cock.
Your dad, I don't know, did you think he was going to die? Did
No.
you even have... No.
No.
Wasn't even a concern.
No.
How crazy would that be for us book readers if they, like, you know, they just pulled up the Sir Barristan and we're like, as book readers, oh crap, they just killed Sir Barristan, they killed Tyrion.
Right, wait, what?
They're like, we're on our own now, George, he's dead. That would be the ultimate declaration of independence for this show.
You know, I've kind of thought that they wanted to go that way and that they might just start doing this stuff just to...
say we're gonna be totally
we're on our own now.
Just to be different.
Yeah.
Like, when Jamie later, when in the episode, I was like,
yeah.
I wonder if Jamie might just die here and just, like, they're just gonna be like, yep, we're different. Like...
Yeah, exactly. You can keep your stupid books. Yeah. Let's talk about Jamie a little bit.
Yeah.
The Dorne sequence did not work for me very well.
No, it felt very fast.
Yeah, I thought it was really weird that all of a sudden, like, everybody was in this little this garden didn't seem that big to me either. They're all
there
this
it is,
little
10 miles off, and now we're not only there, we're next to the princess without anyone getting suspicious.
Exactly, and like all of them all came right there, right then, and it was like, oh, okay.
It's about. I mean, they played it off like the books, pretty much.
Yeah, but the books weren't in the water gardens. So that's one of the big differences. Like, this is like. It's like, you know, put it in a different perspective. Say you're writing a story today about one of the Obamas getting kidnapped or whatever, and there's a big difference between whether or not you set the kidnapping scene at the White House or at some national park in Kentucky or something like that.
Well,
you know,
no,
this
would be like Camp David.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Right.
But it's like, you know, just all of a sudden they're in there. I tell you what it did for me is that people have complained a lot that the books 4 and 5 are so much slower. But you know what? I'm not going to say every single thing Martin justifies all the length in the books all the time. But it's like, there's where the careful plotting comes in. Because when we just skip over all that, it just feels like, what? How did they
it
get
kind
in
of like diminishes their mission because
Yeah.
it's just like, oh yeah, okay, let's do this. Oh yeah, we're here.
And it's like, what's their plan exactly? Come with me. That would have been a great time for him to drop a...
Also,
Uncle
it's been
Jamie.
like 4 years, and
Yeah.
you recognize Uncle Jamie by like the beard that he's never had before.
No, she recognizes him because she looks in the mirror every morning.
Well,
There is that.
Yeah.
But like, Uncle... No, not Uncle or something. Dad. Just call me Dad. I did like that they worked in the Dornishman's Wife song, which is one of the songs that gets alluded to every now in the books, and they've done this with like The Bear and the Maiden Fair and the Rains of Castamere.
Right.
They've done a good job in working in some of that side stuff, so that was kind of a fun moment.
Yeah.
The Sand Snakes were fine. To me, it was again a similar complaint that it's like not only are their plan was to take Marcella right in the Water Gardens too.
Right. At
Like,
the exact same
at
time.
the exact same time. And that's where we're going to see that type of stuff because it's a show, not a book, so they don't have unlimited space to write everything.
Right.
But man, they took some big narrative shortcuts in that sequence, and it didn't work.
No.
Yeah,
That scene could have been written a lot better.
exactly.
It could have been 2 scenes and
Yeah.
a lot better.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It's one of those cases where we got to effectively the
Right.
same place as the
Yeah,
books, but...
it just felt very strange that they were coming to kidnap her in the middle of the day in this very seemingly
With
open place.
Doran Martell watching from the balcony.
Right.
It's like, what's going on down there? That looks like the Sand Snakes. Wonder what they're up to. You know?
But he did seem to know what was going on.
Yeah, but that's the thing. In the books, he knows what's going on, but they don't know that he knows what's going on. If he's sitting up on the balcony, there's no ambiguity there.
That's true.
I don't know. Just really...
Hopefully Dorne gets better, because Dorne
Yeah.
is a lot better in the books.
So
Let's put
far,
it that way, yeah.
I mean, I like the actors that they have, but the writing has suffered so far.
Well, they're just I don't know. They just jumped in the middle of the storyline.
Yep.
Video. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So let's talk about Olenna next, and we'll go from Olenna. We'll go to Littlefinger, and then to Sansa.
Well, do we
Yeah.
have to? Okay.
Unfortunately.
All right.
Olenna was great. It was great to have her back on the show.
She's awesome.
Yeah. It was. It
I
felt
can
like
smell the shit from 5 miles away.
seemed like things are finally gonna move again in King's Landing. It seemed like things have been stagnant. I mean, you're watching like if it's a chess game, you're watching pawns move. And watching pawns move in a chess game is probably the most boring thing. Now Olenna comes in as like a queen or a knight or something.
Right.
Now we're gonna get some bigger moves in and some more technical things going on, and
Yeah.
I think we saw that with. She was very polite during her meeting,
Oh,
but
that was great, though.
yeah,
Yeah, the meeting with Circe. I know you're not writing anything.
right. And says like, "Damn it," you know.
That was great. That was, and man, then it backfired big time at the Lorist inquest where we bring in Loverboy. Who knows where the birthmarks are hidden? Apparently,
Well, that was it's good to know.
Dorne-shaped birthmark.
Nobody checked. I'd like to point out. Nobody was like, "Well, let's see if he's right." Like he just attacked him.
Well, I think at that point it was kind of a settled matter.
Right.
Yeah. They'll check him.
They'll
later.
check him in court.
You know, in the books, it's set up differently. So in the books, they both... No, that's not true. In the books, just Marjorie goes to prison.
I thought they both win.
No.
Okay.
Because he goes to Dragonstone.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Yeah.
He's... anyways, I enjoyed this setup of going to prison a lot better than in the books. In the books, I think she just gets, like, taken away at some point. But in the show, I thought this was a lot better way of setting up that whole scene. And you know, I have to say, I mean, I said it 2 weeks ago when we were talking about it, but I love Cersei's storyline, how it's going now.
Yeah.
I mean, the first couple of episodes I was complaining about it, but now they've clearly taken the turn that they need to take here, and
Right.
I love it.
Yeah. And there's good stuff to come
Yeah.
with Cersei this season.
Yeah, this is Cersei's season, I think.
Yep.
This is her spotlight, her shining moment kind of a deal.
Yep. All right, Littlefinger comes to town. Man. You know, what everyone's going to remember about this episode is Sansa and that horrible scene at the end.
Oh my god.
But in some ways, that scene said more to me about Littlefinger's character than anything else. Sansa might not have known for sure that was coming. Littlefinger had no doubt when he left her there. And he leaves her, and he was willing to let her go through that for the sake of his power. So that he could make the power play he does with Cersei.
Right.
Which is brilliant. You know, and I do think he loves Sansa, or at least in whatever way Littlefinger can love, because he sees Catelyn in her.
Right.
So to the extent that he has any real human emotions, they're there for Sansa.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like when it comes to somebody who he does care about versus power, he chooses power every time.
Yeah, and it's surprising to me that I still feel surprised or shocked when he does make this kind of power play, when he is just like, I don't care about Sansa, sure, I'll bring her back on a spike.
Right. You know, this is one of the first times, I think maybe the first time, where we've actually seen him at a point where he needs to make a decision about a power play. Like when that very 10 seconds into his first scene where we see him and he's in King's Landing,
Mm-hmm.
and he's completely surrounded by all of the
Sparrows.
all of the sparrows, and I don't know, he's like, I guess the best way to describe it is like Tyrion times 10.
Yeah.
Where
Without any conscience whatsoever.
Yeah. And he just makes the move that he needs to make, and he doesn't really care who he hurts. He doesn't care what kind of consequences his move may have. He'll worry about that when the consequences come. But he always seems to have an answer for the consequences too, which is different than a character like Ned, who made a choice and was aware of the consequences, but didn't foresee all the little things or whatever. But when you come to a character like Littlefinger, he is already well aware of all of the small consequences that are going to come into play, and he's aware of all that before he even gets to his meeting with Cersei.
Yep. I mean, the thing with Littlefinger, the difference between him and someone like Ned, well, one of the differences, is that, you know, Ned genuinely, to the extent that he's even aware of the consequences in what he does, he genuinely cares about them not happening. Littlefinger knows that Sansa could die. From Ramsay, could die in the fighting between Stannis and the Boltons, could die at any stage in this, and he doesn't want her to, but if she does, he's just going to keep right on going. Mm-hmm. You know? And it's that, I would prefer that she still be living, but if she's not, can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs. You know, that's his mentality.
Right.
Yeah. And that goes way back to I think it was Varys who was the one who said, you know, that he doesn't care about anything. He would burn the whole world down if he could be king of the ashes.
Right.
You know, afterwards.
And I think most show watchers up to this point have been okay with Littlefinger and keeps plot moving, and that's fine, he does his own little thing. But I think after tonight's episode you have to take a stand, if you
make that connection between the rape scene and
right.
him.
If you understand that he was conscious that would happen.
Yes.
I mean, he did say...
Or, not even that would happen, but that of all the things that could happen with somebody like Ramsay, that's one of the better outcomes.
Right.
Right.
Right. The dogs didn't get let out of the kennels yet. And that's a possibility.
Yeah. So, oh God.
All right,
Yeah.
should we
Let's just
talk about Sansa?
Yeah.
Oh, holy crap.
So,
Man.
in the book, 0 of this storyline is
Right.
true.
She's not even there.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Really interesting with her character, how she's going to develop from this. Does this break her? Or is this another point where Sansa comes into something horrible like this and then just goes that much further in the Littlefinger direction? You know, how she responds to this.
I feel like after what we witnessed tonight, the theory that you've come up with about her becoming Cersei at the end of this show is a lot more logical than it was before.
Yeah, I mean, it all
depends
on how they... I mean, I'm more convinced of that theory from a book perspective than I was from a show perspective, but you're right, because here, this could be the impetus that either completely breaks that theory from a show perspective because she falls into... It just breaks her completely
right.
as a person, or it hardens her completely as a person and she just becomes cold, maniacal, evil because of the evil done.
I think we can both agree that tonight is the defining moment of Sansa.
Right.
And the next time that we see her will be the character of Sansa that we see for the rest of the show series,
Right.
at least.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
This was it.
Yeah. And the brutality of Theon there too.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
you know.
And I was, you're waiting there and it's like, okay, it's either going to cut to credits or Theon's about to go ballistic and kill him. One of those two things.
I remember the book scene with the character that was not Sansa, and he had to warm her up,
right,
as it were, and that was just even more disturbing.
Yeah, at least we didn't have that.
Him watching there, and I was like, I was just in my head. I was just like, please, God, just attack him.
Right.
Just let it be. Like, let's just move on with the storyline here, kind of. And
for a very brief second, when Ramsay was asking Sansa to undress and she was like untying her sleeve, I thought she was gonna pull out a knife and stab him in the throat or something, and I was like, yeah, but no.
Didn't you learn evil characters don't die in this show? Well,
but see, that's what undercuts just how messed up the scene was, because it's like in the back of your mind you're thinking, well, this is Game of Thrones, of course something horrible is going to happen. Then you're like, no, they're not going to do this. They're not going to do this. No.
They can't possibly do something this evil.
Exactly. Like, your move, George. We've one-upped you, it's...
And I don't know if this is going to come into play at all in the book series, but as of the end of book 5, Sansa still has her virginity.
Right.
And
Sansa's a few years younger in the books too.
True. But I don't know. I mean, we'll see how it. I'm certain in book 6 or 7 it will get taken away, and if it does, it may be under the same circumstances, and this may just be shortening it up so that we can finish up with the series.
Right.
But if it doesn't, if it's a completely different circumstance, then I don't know that I'm okay with this at all. I mean, obviously I'm not okay with it. Either way.
None of us are pro.
Right.
No, I think that, at least without knowing where the books are going, from a show perspective, knowing only what we know now, without seeing the bigger picture, it works very well from a storytelling perspective because it underlies just how sadistic Littlefinger is, like we talked about.
Yep.
And it forces something in Sansa. So I think that what they do with this in her character is going to be the bigger judge of this.
Yeah.
But I think that in terms of just knowing what we know tonight, I'd say that was horrible, that was brutal, and they made us feel everything they wanted to make us feel. They made us disgusted, and they wanted to make us feel disgusted. It was extraordinarily effective in terms of storytelling, in terms of theme, in terms of emotion, in terms of characters. And this is that type of show, you know. It's fun to watch Joffrey choke to death, but this is a show about brutal people in a brutal world.
Right.
Yeah.
We didn't even see anything. That's the word. Like, I mean, it's
thank
just
God.
Like, which is, I mean, that's what, I don't know. I don't know if they've done this in previous episodes or not. Where they've just left it up to your imagination like that, just like a book would.
Yeah.
Where they purposely not shown things because in a book it's always worse in your mind than it really would be.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And I don't know if they... I think there's been a couple of scenes where they've done that before. But anyway.
Yeah. Even HBO has limits.
Even HBO is like, we're done.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we have 10 more minutes here.
No, that's fine. Credits.
Yeah.
Credits.
Yeah. So any final thoughts on Unbound, Unbent, Unbroken?
This is the episode. This is the turning point of the season, I think.
Yeah,
I think, we've set up, and now we're going to start seeing the dominoes fall.
Right.
That's what it felt like, that things are now like moving in different directions.
Right.
Yep.
And I'm excited to see how the producers have decided that some events are going to take place. And I'm nervous about that too.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see if the end of if this end of the season is going to end the way that we think it's going to end.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, no John this week, no Danny this week. I think those are the only two.
No Bran.
No Bran. So, yeah, I think you're right, man. If Bran does show up, it's going to be like the last scene of or it's going to be the last episode or something. But no Stannis this week. So yeah, but that's okay. Like we talked about, we got to really focus on some characters.
Guess who's going to be next week?
Yeah,
it's going to be John and
yeah. You'll see John and Danny.
John and Danny all week. Yeah.
Yep. Alrighty, so that's it for this week. 4 more episodes to go, but for now, I am Benny Bono.
I'm Emily Kirkwall.
I'm Ben Kirkwall.
The Sci-Fi Christian. Goodbye.